Imagine being locked inside a pitch-black, suffocating maze. You have no map, no lights, no weapons. But you aren't alone in the dark. Somewhere in the twisting corridors, you can hear the heavy, scraping footsteps and the deep breathing of a monster born from divine punishment. For years, your people have been fed to this nightmare to pay a blood debt. But today is different. Because today, the monster is trapped in the maze with you. But here is the ultimate twist of fate. Surviving the beast isn't even the most tragic part of this story. By the end of this journey, a kingdom will be saved, a heart will be ruthlessly broken, and a fatal mistake will name an entire ocean. Welcome back to the Mythology Diary. Today we are tearing into one of the most legendary, brutal, and misunderstood stories in all of Greek mythology, the epic saga of Theseus and the Minotaur. Grab a seat, get comfortable, and let's descend into the labyrinth. To understand the horror of the Minotaur, we have to start with the sins of a father. We need to go to the island of Crete, ruled by King Minos. Now, Minos wasn't always the undisputed king. When his father died, he had to fight his brothers for the throne. To prove that the gods favoured him, Minos prayed to Poseidon, the god of the sea. He asked Poseidon to send a sign, a magnificent bull from the ocean, promising that as soon as it appeared, he would sacrifice it right back to the god to show his devotion. Poseidon delivers, the waves part, and out walks this breathtaking, pure white bull. It's a literal gift from the gods. But when Minos looks at it, human greed kicks in. He thinks, this bull is too perfect to kill. So he hides it in his own herds and sacrifices a regular average bull instead, thinking Poseidon wouldn't notice. Rule number one of Greek mythology, the gods always notice. And they don't just get mad, they get creative. Poseidon is furious, but he doesn't strike Minos down. That's too easy. Instead, he curses Minos' wife, Queen Pasiphae, with an uncontrollable, maddening infatuation with the white bull. I'll spare you the graphic details, but Pasiphae commands the kingdom's greatest inventor, a genius named Daedalus, to build her a hollow wooden cow. She climbs inside it to trick the bull, and 9 months later, Pasiphae gives birth. But it's not a human baby. It is a terrifying hybrid, a creature with the body of a massive muscle-bound man and the head and horns of a feral bull. She names him Asterion, meaning the starry one, but history would know him by another name, the Minotaur, the bull of Minos. At first, Pasiphae tries to nurse the creature, but as it grows, its human diet is replaced by a monstrous, insatiable hunger for human flesh. It becomes uncontrollable, feral, violent. King Minos is completely humiliated, but he can't bring himself to kill his wife's child. So he goes back to his genius architect Daedalus and issues an impossible order. Build a prison so complex, so twisting, that whoever enters can never ever find their way out. Daedalus designs the Labyrinth, a maze of endless corridors, dead ends, and looping paths beneath the palace of Knossos. It was so confusing that even Daedalus himself barely found the exit after finishing it. They throw the Minotaur inside, sealing him in the dark, out of sight, but definitely not out of mind. Because a monster needs to eat. Now we cut across the Aegean Sea to the city of Athens. A tragedy strikes. King Minos' human son, Androgeus, travels to Athens to compete in their athletic games. He wins everything, but shortly after he is killed. Some say he was assassinated by jealous rivals. Others say the Athenian king sent him to fight a wild bull and he died. Either way, the blood of a Cretan prince is spilled on Athenian soil. Minos unleashes hell. He brings his massive fleet, lays siege to Athens, and brings the city to the brink of starvation. The Athenians, completely broken, begs for terms of surrender. Minos agrees, but his price is unspeakably cruel. Every 9 years, or in some versions, every single year, Athens must send a tribute. 7 of their strongest young men and 7 of their most beautiful young women. They will be shipped to Crete, stripped of their weapons and cast into the Labyrinth. 14 innocent kids thrown into the dark to be hunted and devoured by the Minotaur. Can you imagine the terror in Athens? The wailing of mothers in the streets when the lottery is drawn. This gruesome tax goes on for years. The black-sailed ship of death leaves Athens and no one ever comes back. Until the time of the 3rd tribute. Enter our hero, Theseus. Theseus is the newly discovered prince of Athens, son of King Aegeus. He's young, he's arrogant, he's built like a tank, and he has already made a name for himself, traveling the countryside, wiping out bandits and serial killers. When he arrives in Athens and sees his city cowering in fear, waiting for the death lottery, Theseus is disgusted. He doesn't wait for his name to be drawn. He steps forward and volunteers. Take me, I will go to Crete and I will kill this beast. His father, King Aegeus, is utterly devastated. He just got his son back and now he's watching him walk to his death. Before Theseus boards the ship, Aegeus pulls him aside. Aegeus points to the ship's rigging. The ship that takes the tributes always flies black sails, a symbol of our grief. He says, if you somehow survive, if you kill the beast and come home to me, take down the black sails, hoist white sails instead. I'll be watching from the cliffs every single day. If I see white sails, I will know you live. If I see black, I will know my son is dead. Theseus promises his father he will return under a white sail, and with that, the ship departs for Crete. When the tributes arrive in Crete, they are paraded through the courtyards of the palace. The locals gather to mock them, but standing on a balcony watching the procession is Princess Ariadne, King Minos' daughter and the half-sister of the Minotaur. She locks eyes with Theseus, and in that single second, struck by the arrows of Eros, she falls madly, completely in love with the Athenian prince. It's instantaneous. Ariadne knows that no matter how strong Theseus is, brute strength cannot defeat the Labyrinth. Even if he kills the Minotaur, he will wander in the dark until he starves to death. She decides right then and there to commit high treason against her father. She sneaks away and finds Daedalus, the man who built the maze. She begs him for a way to beat it. Daedalus, perhaps feeling guilty for his part in this whole mess, gives her the simplest, most brilliant solution imaginable: a ball of thread. Under the cover of night, Ariadne sneaks down to the holding cells. She whispers through the bars to Theseus. She offers him a ball of thread and a hidden sword, but she demands a promise in return. If I save your life, you must take me away from this place. You must marry me and take me to Athens. Theseus, staring death in the face, doesn't hesitate. He swears to the gods he will take her with him. The next morning, the heavy stone doors of the labyrinth are hauled open. The 14 Athenians are shoved inside. But Theseus lingers at the entrance. Unnoticed by the guards, he ties the end of Ariadne's thread to the heavy wooden door frame. The doors slam shut. Total suffocating darkness. Theseus tells the others to stay put, gripping his sword in one hand and slowly unspooling the thread with the other. He steps deeper into the maze. Imagine the atmosphere. It's freezing cold. The walls are slick with moisture. With every step, the smell of rotting flesh and old bones grows stronger. The silence is deafening, broken only by the sound of Theseus' own heartbeat and the faint scratching of his sandals on stone. He winds through dead ends, spirals, and false corridors, the thread trailing behind him like a lifeline to the world of the living. And then, the silence breaks. A low, rumbling vibration shakes the floor. A wet, snorting breath echoes off the stone walls. In the dim light filtering through the cracks in the ceiling, a massive shadow detaches itself from the darkness. The Minotaur. The beast doesn't talk, it doesn't negotiate. It roars, a sound that is half bull, half human, and then it charges. It's 7 feet of pure, unchecked muscle, swinging blindly in the narrow corridor. Theseus dives to the ground as the Minotaur's horns smash into the stone wall behind him, sending sparks and shrapnel flying. Theseus scrambles up. In some legends, he fights the beast barehanded, using the monster's own horns to snap its neck. But in the most famous versions, he grips Ariadne's sword. The Minotaur turns, thrashing, trying to crush Theseus in its massive arms. Theseus ducks a wild swing, steps into the beast's guard, and drives the blade deep into the monster's throat. The Minotaur drops to its knees. A final, gurgling breath escapes its lungs, and the great bull of Minos collapses, dead. The blood debt is paid. Curse is broken. But it's not over. Theseus is miles deep in the labyrinth. He drops the sword, his hands slick with sweat and blood, and reaches for the ground. He finds it, the thread. Following the fragile string back through the winding horrors, he eventually sees a sliver of light. He bursts out of the labyrinth with the other tributes, and they make a frantic dash for the harbour. Ariadne is waiting. They all pile into the Athenian ship. To make sure King Minos can't chase them, Theseus and his men smash holes in the hulls of the Cretan fleet. They hoist their sails and burst out into the open sea, leaving the nightmare behind. Victory, right? The hero killed the monster, saved the kids, and got the girl. It should be a happily ever after. But this is Greek mythology, and Greek heroes are notoriously flawed. On their way back to Athens, the ship stops at the island of Naxos to rest and restock supplies. Ariadne, exhausted from the stress of betraying her family and fleeing her home, falls into a deep, peaceful sleep on the sandy beach. When she wakes up, the sun is high in the sky. She looks around. The beach is empty. She stands up, panic setting in, and looks out at the horizon. There, miles away, shrinking into the distance, the ship of Theseus sailing away. He left her after she sacrificed everything, her family, her home, her safety to save his life. Theseus abandoned Ariadne sleeping on a deserted beach. Now, why did he do it? The myth offers a few excuses. Some say Theseus just got bored of her. Some say he fell in love with someone else on the ship. The most forgiving version says that the god of wine, Dionysus, appeared to Theseus in a dream, claimed Ariadne for himself, and threatened to destroy the ship if Theseus didn't leave her behind. But whatever the reason, the result is the same. Ariadne is left weeping on the shores of Naxos. But the universe, or the gods, demands balance. Karma is coming for Theseus, and it's coming fast. The ship is rapidly approaching the shores of Athens. The crew is ecstatic. They are drinking, celebrating, praising the gods for their survival. Theseus is basking in his own glory. He is so distracted by his victory, so caught up in the thrill of the moment, that he forgets something. He forgets the one promise he made to the man who loved him most. High on the cliffs of Cape Sounion, an old man stands battered by the wind, King Aegeus. Every single day since the ship left, he has stood on that cliff, staring out at the horizon, waiting for his son. Finally, a speck appears on the water, a ship. Aegeus strains his eyes. The ship draws closer, the sails billow in the wind. They are pitch black. Theseus forgot to change the sails. Aegeus sees the black fabric and his entire world collapses. He believes his son, his only heir, the boy he just got back, has been torn apart in the dark by the Minotaur. The grief is absolute. It is physically unbearable. Without a word, without waiting for the ship to dock, the broken-hearted King Aegeus steps to the edge of the cliff and throws himself into the crashing waters below. By the time Theseus pulls into the harbour, ready to announce his triumph, he is not met with cheers, but with the weeping of his people. He learns that his father is dead, killed by his own negligence. Theseus inherits the throne of Athens that day, but he takes the crown with blood on his hands and a heavy, hollow heart. A hero who conquered the impossible maze, but couldn't conquer his own flaws. And in honor of the tragic king who threw himself into the waves out of love for his son, the sea was named after him, and it is still called to this very day the Aegean Sea. And that is the story of the Minotaur. It's not just a monster movie, it's a story about the devastating consequences of greed, the power of a simple idea like a ball of thread, and the brutal reminder that sometimes the smallest forgotten details can change history forever. If you love this deep dive into the Labyrinth and want to uncover more of the greatest, most gripping stories from mythology, do me a favour, hit that subscribe button. Until next time, keep exploring and I'll see you in the next one.